Previously on Miss President.
Kenyans continue to be resilient in the face of the environmental and social adversity that they face.
We'll establish a Green Eco Council that will help us to do mapping and zoning throughout the country.
I think they were just still locked in their boxes of this is an environmental problem, what are all the environmental issues, we don't need to forget the women, we need to do this. So I could sort of feel that they were like all over the place trying to make sure they get all the points.
I take seriously every single thing that you people say here.
Hi there, all well? Is Kenya ready for a female president? You can always respond to this question via chat on the show's YouTube channel. What is sustainability? Is Kenya capable of meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Or is it? In today's episode, the contestants will undergo training, will be given tasks, various challenges, and problem-solving activities. They will respond through presentations before judges Zippy, Jerry, and Michael. Eliminations are expected in every episode, but we leave this to the judges' discretion, for you never know until you know.
Over 700 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 350 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, over 50 women were selected, and they will now battle it out at the Academy for the coveted title of Miss President. In the race to be elected Miss President, we have the following contestants. Ms. Florence Sevuo is a sustainable development specialist with over 15 years of community-based national, regional, and global level experience. She has been instrumental in numerous policy advocacy and research change processes, as well as coordination of mass citizen mobilization of key stakeholders towards ending poverty and inequalities in our generation. Ms. Sevuo is the current Executive Director of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) Kenya Forum and plays critical roles in a number of other institutions and organizations as a social, economic, and political advisor.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Yeah, so I'd want us to do a bit of a recap from the last time we were here with you. And so if you remember, we defined sustainable development goals. We talked about dimensions of sustainable development. We also talked about the 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development, which is popularly known as the SDGs. As you all know, this was adopted by the member states, the UN member states, and Kenya is one of the UN member states. How many SDGs do we have? 17, okay, I love that. How many targets do we have?
169.
Yes, great, 169. How many indicators?
234.
Yeah, 232, sometimes 234, depending, because some indicators are repetitive. I think the key element here is promotion of inclusion and sustainable economic growth, protection of human rights, and the conversations on the planet, issues of natural resources. As you know, the world is a global village. How do we, as somebody coming from Nakuru County or from Makueni County or from Isiolo County, how do you ensure that you can contribute to this global agenda from national perspective, from county perspective, to national, regional, and global perspective. How do we continuously link our actions? Just linking, for example, national budgets to what sustainable development is. How do we monitor that progress? And I always say the thing about sustainable development goals is demything. You know, people many times when you hear some of these terms, you feel like these are not the day-to-day, the mwananchi kind of engagement. And so how do we ensure that this conversation is not only in some quarters, but also at very grassroots level and all the way to national and, as I always say, global levels. There's also the inter alia principle, common but differentiated responsibility, that talks about we have common but different responsibilities as different stakeholders. Yeah, but the leave no one behind, I believe, is very critical and key to the Kenyan context or to the African context. Leaving no one behind is actually a pledge that is a commitment to ending extreme poverty in all its forms. And the second dimension to this is it's for us to act with intention to ensure that those who are left behind can catch up with those who have experienced greater progress. And so that's the framing that I'd want you to have in your minds as you move on. And so the first question is, what does it mean to leave no one behind in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals? I've just put like 20 minutes, but again, I know you'll have, there's leeway in terms of the timings. You could have maybe a plus 10 or, depending with how fast you are in the group, but also how well you're grasping the concept and the questions, and also how well you're able to work as a team. Moving on to the second question, who is it that is being left behind? What are the 5 key factors that we need to consider when we're talking about who is being left behind? And so this is the last question, and it's for you as a group to agree on one category, underline one category of those you feel are most likely to be left behind or are already left behind. Go further and develop an action plan. Develop an action plan to ensure that the group is clearly visible and not left behind within your constituency. Feel free, you could showcase from county to national and whatever levels that you think or feel are relevant.
And now, let us have a look at the key highlights from the topic of this week's episode. The contestants will be divided into groups as leadership does not work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. The contestants have been reshuffled, chosen the group president, and have now settled into their new groups.
Yeah, the task is okay. We are working together, several strong women in one group, but I think we will be the best this time around. Yeah.
Given that for minority groups that we are supposed to be addressing and supporting or also addressing issues that are very minor, we've realized that there is very inadequate data to support, but we are going to make sure that we come up with proper solutions to solve that as a problem as well.
My name is Dr. Zipi Okoth. I am a lecturer at KCA University, a gender consultant, an award-winning filmmaker, and founding director of the Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. I will be looking for someone who is informed, bold, visionary, and has a unique leadership predisposition.
Hi, my name is Jerry Kirene. I am a policy advisor and researcher and an advocate for women's advancement. I am looking for courage, determination, and excellence. I will be kind but firm, as I feel at the Academy there is no room for mediocrity.
My name is Michael Nyango. I am the founder and lead at the agenda setter for Kenya's largest and most trusted social media platform, WhatsApp. The Forgotten Bottom Millions, 4BM, a social media enterprise currently reaching over 500,000 persons every week via WhatsApp and transforming the lives of thousands of Kenyans. I will be looking for audacious, bold, and daring leaders.
The tasks for today's assignment are as follows.
One of the principles of the SDGs is leave no one behind. Today in Kenya, the 2/3 gender bill has not been passed, and as we speak, 3.5 million Kenyans risk starvation due to drought.
Inequality is the biggest menace, but if we are going to curb this issue and feel like each and everyone in this world is equal, that is when we are going to feel like we are not leaving no one behind.
Women are the ones who are being left behind. Women from informal settlements, rural areas, and even women that are youth. Let us look at one example. In the agricultural sector, 80% of those in the labor force are actually women, but only 20% actually on land.
And then we look at the socio-economic status of women in this country. What kind of women endure more vulnerability given their place of residence? Why does a woman in Turkana or women in the northern region have to walk for maybe more than 2 or 3 hours just in search of water? Even as we talk about how women are left behind, do you know how women with disabilities are further left behind?
Remember again, poverty and discrimination and disability go together. Can you imagine a woman with disability? The Constitution demands that on Article 54, Section 2, demands that we have 5% representation of persons with disabilities. But where are women with disabilities? Personally, I vied in Nairobi County this year as Nairobi Senator. Imagine what happened? My political party decided to give the position to a direct ticket to a man. What was the reason why they decided to give a man and not a woman? Gender-based violence, we go through 10 times more than our able other women.
Our action plans are both short-term, long-term, and some are continuous. One of our action plan is have a special kit for women with disability. Sote tunafahamu ya kwamba tumeweza kupewa fedha, mgao wa fedha kupitia Affirmative Action Fund. Kwa hivyo ni muhimu katika kila kaunti kuwekwe mgao wa fedha kupitia bajeti ili hizi fedha zikaweze kuwaendea wanawake wanaoishi na ulemavu ili wakaweze kuanzisha biashara ndogo ndogo, wakaweze kujikimu, wakaweze kufundisha watoto wao na kuhakikisha ya kwamba wanapata maendeleo. Tumeelezwa kwamba na mwenzangu aliondoka ya kwamba tamaduni zetu zimeendelea kuwatenga wanawake wanaoishi na ulemavu. Ni muhimu kufanya hamasa katika shuleni, katika vijijini, kuhakikisha ya kwamba hizi dhana tunaziondoa. Na kilele cha uhamasishaji huu tutaweza kuwa na tamasha za watu wanaoishi na ulemavu, tunaziita disability festivals. Jambo lingine pia kuboresha sera zetu na sheria zetu. Utapata kwamba kipengele cha 100 katika katiba yetu kimezungumzia kuhusu uwakilishaji, lakini hakijaweza kusema ni asilimia ngapi ya wanawake, ya uwakilishaji wa wanawake wanaoishi na ulemavu na wanaume wanaoishi na ulemavu. Hali hii imepelekea kwamba vyama vya kisiasa vimeweza kupeana nafasi hizi za uwakilishaji kwa wanaume wanaoishi na ulemavu kuliko wanawake wanaoishi na ulemavu. Katika masuala haya yote tunaangalia who is responsible, who will implement these action plans. The national government and the county government, all the agencies involved, the media and the citizen.
a young girl in Isiolo, coming from a community that believes disability is a taboo. You're left to wonder if to allow your child to stay with you at home where you can take care of them, or take them to the schools that do not accommodate them.
Why did we settle on persons with disability? It is because due to how differently abled they are from the ordinary person, whether inadvertently or intentionally, they end up being sidelined, being isolated. How are they affected? They miss out on development in the following SDG areas: education, justice, infrastructure, health, and governance. This range from SDG 9, 14, and 16. We have 2 reports, one by the National Gender and Equality Commission, the other one being the National Survey on Children with Disabilities and Special Needs in Education. The first done in 2016, the second in 2018. What were the findings? Majority of the children with disabilities were not in school. The county development officers did not have data on how many children in their counties are disabled, how many children are at home, how many children are in school. On the question of staffing and curriculum, head teachers reported that they had inadequate trained teachers, and there were instances of teachers with training, but they are attached to schools where their skill set is not required.
We want to achieve a society where children with disability have access to quality education without being discriminated or stigmatized by 2027. Ladies, our action plan is simple. We are having activities. Example of activities is to create and develop a tool that will equip teachers in regular schools with knowledge of all facets of disability. The same responsibility we are giving it to the Ministry of Education, Teacher Service Commission, and even the Education Assessment and Curriculum Support Centers. This is a center where these teachers will be trained in the first phase so that they are equipped with these skills and given a booklet on the toolkit. Then there will be continuous training of these teachers in their various areas. We're also having the Teacher Service Commission database, so they will know which teachers are skilled at which point to be matched to a school where they need the skill. Ladies and gentlemen, the last 2 pointers are sensitization of our parents, because if we don't sensitize our parents, then that means we are still not solving the problem. So the problem is with the knowledge and awareness that our parents have. And we'll do this through the Education Assessment and Curriculum Support Centers, the local government, these are the village elders in Nyumba Kumi. We also have the faith-based organization and the CSOs. We will do this in 5 years, which is a continuous process for all of us. Lastly, we will synchronize data of all students with disability at the county level. We will use the NEMIS, which provides for data of those students who are in school, and the statistics, Kenya Bureau of Statistics data, so that we synchronize. We know those who are registered with their parents, that they have kids who are persons with disability, and those who are registered in school, so that we know which others are remaining at home without going to school.
We realized leaving no one behind means breaking barriers and ensuring that each and every individual has an access to services, resources, and opportunities. We are getting to the world's most disadvantaged, giving voice to the most marginalized, and inspiring actions for better goals and targets met for all segments of our society.
Let us look at the broader factors that contribute to this people being left behind. Let's start with technology. We all have phones, we all have access to internet. However, in Kenya, we have 17% people in rural communities with access to the internet compared to 44% in urban populations. Currently, you can access government services on internet, you can access health, you can access education. What does this mean for people in the rural communities? They cannot have access to these things, so they're always being left behind.
5 years ago, I gave birth to my first kid. I wasn't able to deliver through the normal way. And you know what? I had to undergo cesarean delivery. 3 days later, I had to undergo a spinal cord procedure. And you know why? Because of the effects that FGM had on my body. And that is when I decided to form a community-based organization through the help of my husband. You know what I named it? Every girl's dream.
UNFPA defines FGM as a practice that involves altering or injuring the private parts of a woman for non-medical reasons. And it is internationally recognized as a human rights violation. Why is it being done? Cultural beliefs, that it makes them complete as women for marriage, that it makes them lesser sexually active. Efforts have been put in place to end FGM in Kenya, like the Anti-FGM Act of 2011, which put in place Anti-FGM Board, and other non-government actors. But what is our action?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group 3 Media House. It is a special interview for our Group 3 Miss President winner. Miss President, coming from the academy, some of the research shows that Kenya Demographic Survey of 2014 indicated 4 million girls in Kenya have undergone FGM. What would you do for such a constituent?
FGM has very diverse sectors. And so there is the education aspect, there is those who are survivors, there are those who actually die from the whole process. So I'll specifically focus on those who did not go through that process and sort of ran away from home and became outcasts at some level and got into rescue centers and so on.
Interesting. Outcasts. And what will be the objective?
Okay, my objective will be to focus on enhancing their psychosocial support as FGM survivors.
Psychosocial support.
Yes.
Mr. President, what would you call this campaign?
Okay, that's a good one. I will call it the Miss President for Aisha campaign that will be targeted across the 22 counties affected by FGM.
Each contestant must write 2 names of who they think should leave the academy and the reason why they should go. The contestants will then also give 2 names of who should stay in the academy and why they should stay in the academy. Before we get to the elimination stage, let us have a moment of reflection with the judges.
Could you please tell us if you saw what it is that you were looking for in the academy today?
People in Kenya think sustainable development goals is a foreign subject, or it doesn't really apply to the Mamboga, grassroots level, county, ward level. But it was very good to see the ladies, how they interpreted sustainable development goals, the understanding, and especially the principle about leaving no one behind. So for me, the action plans especially, for some groups, were very practical. Coming from the non-governmental sector, I felt like I could pick some initiatives and just run with them, meaning there's a lot of hope for these ladies, and just maybe also to encourage them that wherever they go after this or going back to the sectors they come from, they can come up with practical solutions to FGM, to persons with disability, to issues being faced by women and girls, and also to the children and many others, the sectors they touched on.
Yes, a lot of them, they were looking at education, they're looking at gender, but right now the focus all over the globe on any grant funding, whether it's for any country, is to look at how climate change is the focus of everything, and how whether it is the gender issue revolving around climate change. So I would have thought that that is one thing they would have looked at: climate change, the blue economy. I think as leaders, they need to also know, every issue that we tackle. Yes, the issue of leaving no one behind, but how do we leave no one behind? Even if we talk about the issue of FGM, how do we leave no one behind? Who are the people who are involved? If we're talking about climate change, it's about the nomads, the people who are living in the arids, find a way of putting it into something that the world is focusing on right now, so that as a leader, you are also up to the international talk. Yes. You are also there where people are talking right now. Yeah.
What I am struggling with in their presentations is how they articulate themselves. Right. They will start with one topic, they get so wide, and then all of a sudden they get to their focus area, and I can't see the connection. So I think that what the contestants need to now start thinking is how to express themselves well, how to articulate their issues well, and let there be a flow in the connection of what they're saying. Otherwise, you lose your audience. But otherwise, I think they're doing well, and there's lots more room for improvement, but they're doing very well.
To get grants or to get funding, you must crystallize your idea. And it must be, and that's related to also last week when Dr. Kalua was here. Yes. It was very clear that there needs to be an action plan in place. There needs to be a process which therefore will lead to them being able to get funding for whatever projects or whatever ideas that they brought forth. But at the same time, I think they should have called out the West, because not just the West, and also China, because rightfully speaking, the challenges we're facing today is because of the carelessness and the absolute abuse by those economies, and we are suffering the most on this continent. So I think this is a time where they needed, we all just tend to go local, and then now they go so local and they forget to go global when they need to go global. So this was one time where they needed to have gone global. So I guess we need them to understand when to balance the local and when you have to go global, and we need to connect the two. So I feel that that's what may have been the missing piece within this whole presentations that we saw.
For the longest time in my community especially, talking about FGM has been a taboo for long. So I gathered the strength to come out and give my own personal story.
Wow, that was so wonderful. Many times we hide our stories, and remember, story can change many people. So it changed for me to accept the fact that there are problems which are with us. So for us to change that problem, we really have to accept and give our own story so that other people can be accommodative.
So every time when people, when your group gets called, do you ever have that feeling, oh no, today my name might be there?
I've never had that feeling. I don't know why, but I think it's because of maybe how I contribute to the group, my presentation mode, and how I associate with everyone. Probably that is the reason.
For the assignment, the contestants will be judged on their understanding of the task, time management and presentation, creativity and innovation of the solutions provided, and lastly, leadership and group dynamics.
Hello to the top 20 of Miss President Season 2. Congratulations for coming this far. Yeah, today we had a very interesting topic, Sustainable Development Goals, which is a very trendy topic, especially if you are into applying for grants. And who other than to take us through that, if not our lovely trainer.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies. For me, it's been a great pleasure. Because the three groups, you were able to articulate the subject matter. And so I loved some aspects of various groups. I'll do this from maybe group 1. There was a lot of, the teamwork and also the personalized stories. That was great to see. Also, you talked about the how and what. That was amazing, and also in terms of just the narration, but also I think towards the end there was a lot more that you could have shared, but because of time, it looked like you had to really wrap up very fast. When you move to group 2, and maybe group 1 was focusing on issues of persons with disability for the women, and so it's a great subject matter, and there's a lot more that Kenya needs to indulge in terms of women with disability, the multiple discrimination that women face. About group 2, you focused on persons with disability, but the children, that was also unique to see that, focusing on children and what needs to be done. I loved, you had the best infographics, just showcasing, your presentation with a lot of pictures, and also showcasing, for audience, it was easy to follow. Also, you had a good action plan that was articulate. So maybe just work on the content some more to ensure that this is not just the normal things, but you can make it more indulging or more things that can be practical in terms of investment. I also liked the issues of time. You talked about the time frame, the resources, indicators. Indicators part was very important. With the Sustainable Development Goals, we have to always have indicators. It's good to measure that which you're doing, and that's why issues of data come in. How do we provide evidence? Group 3, I loved most the slogan, which talked about without real action, it's just a slogan, issues of leaving no one behind. And so that was a good way. Also, the explainer was very simple, and issues of breaking barriers, listing a number of, you listed a list of very many groups that are left behind. And also you talked about technological factors. That was also good to see that you went out of your way to just look through and do that. And also the group, the interview, presentation, and also the personal stories, the merger of the group presentation was very, very interesting.
And now I'll go to group one. Group one, you looked at women with disabilities as the ones who are left behind, and yet the topic today was leaving no one behind in the Sustainable Development Goals. So we felt your presentation was very good. It was well researched. We had very good statistics, which is very good. It means you went in depth into looking at the issues of women, and how you broke it down was very clear. Looking at how women are marginalized in the economy of scale, how it breaks down again now to women with disabilities, and that was very nice because it helped us understand women as a whole. Then again, now when it comes to women with disabilities, we weren't able to understand it at such a critical level. I think we also really loved the issue of when you used a woman with a disability to represent her issues and challenges in leadership. That helped your points come out very strongly because we were now able to understand her own personal experiences. Testimonies are very powerful tools when it comes to communication, and that was very beautiful. However, I think it would have been also very good if you also brought in the issue of not just women in leadership, but also when you look at gender, when it comes to the economy in terms of business, how are women, like the issue of loans, so that we also feel the voices. If it is the women with disabilities, they can't even express themselves when it comes even to applying for loans, and that means their business cannot even thrive more because also now they have to employ somebody to translate, and that's also another extra expense. So it would have been also good if you looked at not just in leadership, but also in the broader spectrum, so that we can feel how is it for them. In Nairobi, I think there's one restaurant that only employs people with hearing and speaking disability. And so if we can be able to mention even such examples of people who are trying to put this in the scope, it will also be very good to highlight some of the measures that are being taken, not just by the government, but also every citizen on the ground. I think that will be enough for now. I'll give the chance to Judge Michael.
Great. So I'm going to talk about Group 2. So Group 2, very interesting. And it's interesting that the trainer also noted the same things that I picked up as you were presenting. So first of all, let me just start with what you didn't do right, and then I'll go into what you did well. So imagine nobody in your group actually defined what SDGs are. And you must remember who our audiences are. When we use acronyms, people switch off because they don't know what you're talking about. And also remember that later on you become leaders. Don't use acronyms because you want to seem intelligent or look more superior than other people. Your job as a leader is to communicate in the simplest of terms and to bring everybody on board. So define what the term is so that as people are going on, they know exactly what it is that you're saying. As you're presenting, you're not looking at your slides. The only person who presented really well was Miss President Busia County. She actually looked at the slides, which therefore told us why the slides were there. Then it is interesting that the reason why Miss President Busia was the best was because every single acronym she explained, and she said it in full. So she carried her audience throughout. Nobody got lost. So these are the little things that you all have to pick up and remember from your colleagues when you make out these comments, okay? Now, it is interesting that the only group that I actually gave full marks in terms of teamwork was Group 2. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. This is the reason why. Because everybody didn't come up, but everybody was represented in a slide. So everybody was introduced and represented, so we knew that whatever was being said was a result of a bigger team, which may not necessarily be in front with everybody. So guys, sharpen yourselves as we go forward in terms of what it is that you're doing and how you're presenting.
I'd like to say thank you to all of you also for doing a good job today. Now let me come specifically to Group 3. You are also my favorite group. Maybe you'd want to say I'm biased, but There are certain things you talked about which are dear to my heart, the issue of FGM. Your story, Aisha. Congratulations on being so courageous, telling us a very personal and intimate story. I relate with that very much. And the reason I do is because I come from the Maasai community. For many years, we've been dealing with the issue of FGM with my mother. There are certain things you've said which I wish you had expounded more on. There was what the effects are for you as a person, which we've seen, but there are other things that FGM also are harmful to young girls. Like, for example, from my community, when they get the cut at 8 years, by the way, they go off and they get married. Then they don't go to school. But the one thing you talked about is the way your husband has supported you in dealing with this issue. This brings back the question about the role of men. Men in this issue can play two roles. They can either support FGM or they can deter us from FGM. And I think you have a beautiful story which you can go forth into the world and make a significant change. So stop being so tense. You made my day.
Thank you so much, Anjeri. Ladies, so congratulations on the topics. I want us to go into the next stage. I want us to invite Group 1 to the front. Group 1, we will not repeat what the other judges have said about your presentation. On that note, Gumato Denge, Ashura Michael, the rest go back and sit. Group 2, kindly come to the front. Your presentation, Group 2, was very beautiful, but at some point we started wondering what's happening. We are not feeling the emotions. The energy was a bit low. I'd like to request Annabel Njoki to step forward. The rest go back and sit. Group 3, kindly come forward. Group 3, it is very clear that today you really wowed us with the Aisha story. It touched us in a different way. However, work has to be done. Juliet Odwor, step forward. Aisha Roba, step forward. Lucy Mwendwa, step forward. The rest you can go back and sit. Ladies, it's the 9th episode, and we are calling you up here because we continue with our search for getting the Miss President. Aisha Roba, your story was very beautiful. It moved us, and I believe it moved the audience. And we hope you'll continue sharing such stories with a positive side so that even as women, we understand the role of men to help us in curbing all this. Ashura Michael, your story also touched us very deeply, sharing how you have been discriminated because you are a woman with a disability in leadership. And that is a very real story, especially during this time in our country. It is very important to understand how women are struggling with issues of election, and you brought that story. We are very glad that you are selfless enough to share such a story. Lucy Mwendwa. Lucy Mwendwa, we really enjoy how you make your group work together and come together, and it was also very clear when your group stood here to present, we could see how your energy is bringing them together. And for that reason, the three of you, the judges and the House, felt you should stay in the academy. You can have a seat. Juliet Odwor, step forward. Juliet, You were chosen to be in Miss President for a reason. Because we saw that you have the leadership and you have the capacity to be in the academy. You are already in top 20. Why don't you believe in yourself anymore?
I still believe in myself and the leadership capabilities that I have.
But when we watch you, we feel that there's a certain amount of fear. You're not so sure about yourself. And it is important for you to understand that at this stage of the competition, if you at any point go on fearing like that, your fear will eliminate you. But today we will give you a chance to stay in the academy.
Thank you.
Gumato Denge. You're very nice, you're very sweet, you have a nice voice, and today you started off the group very powerfully. Yeah, it made us all wake up and watch who is that presenting. However, in your niceness, you are not nice to everybody in the group. You are expressing some favoritism towards others more than others. It's like a mother who loves all her children but loves others more than the others.
I don't think if that is what I believe in. And because a teamwork was seen in my group, and that thing really reflected there. I wasn't even bossy because I was giving each and everyone an opportunity to speak. Even before we started, we had to start with the housekeeping. What are we going to do? How are we going to do our turn taking? And I believe if each and everyone has followed that, maybe, because we are human beings, we can't be equal. But I believe I gave each and everyone an opportunity to speak on turn taking.
Gumato, you see, you gave everyone an opportunity, but it's like saying you gave everyone an opportunity, but you gave some people 3 chances and others 1 chance. You get what I mean? And that is what favoritism is about. Where you give everyone an orange, but you give others 3 oranges and others 1 orange. So that everybody feels they've gotten an orange, but not everybody has gotten the same amount.
I think that didn't even reflect in my group because each and everyone in my group got an opportunity to present what they feel they are so okay to present here.
Okay,
that is
Gumato,
why each and every...
Okay. A step back. Annabelle Njoki, step forward. Annabelle, I think Hon Michael in particular has articulated it many times that we need to feel you. Emotionally, your face is blank. We can't feel whether you're in pain or you're in happiness. You need to show some sense of charisma. There are days we need to feel your power within the room. And it has to come out in your eyes. You can wear the most expensive dress, but if your eyes are not giving us any emotions, we won't know how to connect with you. We can feel that within your group, you're a very good leader. However, maybe you are good in your group, but it's because no one can tell whether you like them or you don't like them. And that's very risky also as a leader. As a leader, your team needs to understand that today she's happy with us, and today she's not happy with us. You need to exhume some power. We don't feel that, and it has been stated over and over again. I don't know how you're going to work about that.
It will be worked on.
But we can't keep repeating the same thing every day.
It will not come up again.
And like we said last time, guys, in the last episode, I specifically said where the show has reached right now, any of you can go for any reason. You don't need a big reason to go home. Because this level of competition, everyone is a strong competitor. You know, when you were young, everyone used to sing, when you want to talk to God, you just go there and ring number 9. This is the 9th episode. It's your lucky day, ladies. We will allow you back into the academy in the belief that you're going to work on yourselves. Because like we have mentioned many times, it's about attitudes right now. Everyone in the academy is very strong, is very intelligent, is very powerful, and is very knowledgeable. But right now, we are looking at something beyond. And like I said last time, what is your unique leadership predisposition? What is it that you have that the other person doesn't have? And how can you use it to be the Miss President? So if you don't know what's unique in you, then how can we know? If you can't share that with us, then we definitely will not be able to see it, and we will look for that person who can share that uniqueness in their leadership with us. And ladies and gentlemen, we continue with our search for the next Miss President.
I would say that I cannot be what I am not. I have been myself since the beginning, and I would say it has worked well so far. I have been able to steer my teams to success with little to no conflict, and even where it has looked like there would be conflict, I have found ways of making my people, meet each other halfway. Yeah, let's work on the voice projection in the next presentation, and let's see how it goes. But I cannot be something that I am not.
I also liked that the judge exercised what we call constitutionally their power of mercy, highlighted to some of them who needed to improve on a few things, and gave them a second chance. So for me, that was also an exemplary show that the judges are here to mold us, not necessarily to allow us to leave the academy.
I challenge you now with this quote from Mary Barra, CEO, General Motors. It's okay to admit what you don't know. It's okay to ask for help. And it's more than okay to listen to the people you lead. In fact, it's essential. Thoughts, opinions, compliments, suggestions? Shoot us on @media_focus. Find us on Facebook @MFA Media Focus on Africa. And check us out on Instagram @Media Focus on Africa. This show will be uploaded to YouTube. To view this episode and other episodes, including the full training session, kindly click on the link provided to access the Miss President YouTube channel. And remember to click, like, and subscribe to the only show where you never really know until